All right, Patricia, how's it going? Welcome to the How I Suit a podcast.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so I discovered you. I discovered you a couple of years back, actually. I remember I was looking around on Instagram. I was looking for stylists in Canada in particular, and I stumbled upon your stuff. And I saw that you kind of what you were doing and that you catered to men in particular. And I thought that was a
Yep.
really interesting way to go about doing styling in general. So, for the people who don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us how you got interested in menswear in the first place.
Oh, that starts way back. Basically, I've been a personal fashion stylist specializing in men's fashion since 2008. Just like yourself, I studied fashion marketing. I think you studied fashion marketing at Amber.
I did. I did. Were you
Okay.
at Humber as well?
No, I was at LaSalle College here in
Nice.
Montreal. But yeah, back then I wanted to be a buyer, just like any student that go into fashion, because I was not aware that my job existed.
Yeah.
Um, so if I rewind a little bit, when I was young, my mom was a seamstress, and she was making me all these nice dresses. But the thing is that I was not really interested in dressing like a girl. I always wanted to
Mm.
dress like the boys. So I wanted to go shop in boys' clothing stores. And I was always very, very interested in the men's aesthetic. I don't know why. It was just easier for me, and my eyes were always drawn toward that aesthetic. So when I studied at LaSalle College, I did all my projects in men's style, and my final project was to start my men's styling agency, which I did a few years later.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's super cool. So yeah, it's interesting that you had a bit of a background in fashion in general, right? Majority of the people that we interview on the podcast, it's kind of they almost discover that they want to dress themselves in a specific way, and then it all they end up working in fashion or working in menswear, right? So it's interesting that you kind of had a bit of a baseline, and that you were drawn to menswear. I think that's really interesting in general too.
Yeah, well, I think I always knew I wanted to follow my mother's footsteps and work in the industry. I'm not so good at sewing, so yeah, I always knew I wanted to work in fashion, but I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. And I started working in the industry right after college when I was 19 years old. Now I'm
Well,
34, but I can say I've been doing this for 12 years and a half.
yeah.
Which is a lot for someone my age.
Yeah, definitely. 100%. Yeah, congratulations. That's quite a bit of time doing something
Thank you.
in this industry ultimately. Okay, so walk us through how you got your first client and how it all started. So like you're interested in menswear, your mother's a seamstress. How does it start? How do you get into the industry?
Uh, well, it just doesn't happen overnight. So I also, after taking a class at LaSalle College, my last semester, I also took a class in this agency in Montreal that also form personal stylists. So I did my internship there. I took a private class with them. And I also followed the president of the company for a year. She was specialized in men's style back then. And after my internship, they offered me a position as well, not a position, but I was part of their stylist. So I was freelance working with them
Hmm.
for almost 10 years. So
Oh well.
they kind of brought me my first client, and also, of course, word of mouth, friends of friends that know that I'm a stylist. Not so much from clients because I'm a well kept secret for most of my clients.
Uh,
Um, so yeah, most of the clients don't really say that they have a stylist. They just dress well, and they have taste.
yeah, it's interesting, right? That it's almost when someone finds, that person or that confidant that they have for their style or for their whatever it is for their wardrobing needs, they always like to keep them relatively relatively hidden, right? Because you're kind of
Yes.
you know, the woman behind the magic, let's say.
Yeah, but I'm happy with that. I don't mind.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so you work for an agency for quite a while, 10 years, you said.
Yeah.
Um, and then, so are you now on your own, or how is that working now?
Yeah, I'm
Nice.
now on my own. I was always represented by that agency, but I always had my business. So yeah, I've been on my own for 4 years, I think, and I'm also I'm working with colleagues that are two women stylists.
Oh,
So
wow.
there's a man, his name is Luke Nolan, and I'm working also with Monica Gilgadi, and they take care of the women's side of the business, I'd say. So we can dress couples and.
It makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, so how would you describe the way you like to dress guys if you were to describe that? Is it based in a specific mood? Is it based on the client themselves? Like how do you like to dress a guy?
It really depends on him, what he's willing to do. My goal is never to disguise a man. I want them to feel comfortable in what they're wearing. Yes, the street is your runway, but I don't want you to be dressed as if you're going down a runway and feel ridiculous in what you're wearing. So it's important that it also feel natural to you. If you don't feel comfortable being pushed too far, then I won't. So it really depends on the client, their taste. Sometimes their taste doesn't work with their body type or their complexion. So we'll also work with that. But yeah, I don't think I wouldn't say I like to dress my client in a specific way. I like to develop a style that fits them. But I'm always drawn more towards the business casual side of thing. I can do formal, I can do casual, I can do street style, but what I prefer is business casual.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And that
yeah, definitely.
always that was always my specialty, I think.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so someone comes into you, Patricia, and they say, "Hey, I'm getting married. What do I go about wearing?" What do you say to them?
Where are you getting married? Who are you marrying? Who are your guests? Um, can I see your Pinterest board? There's a lot of thing that
Yeah.
are. If you're getting married in a barn and your wife is wearing a very I'd say elegant lace dress, I'm gonna make you wear something different than if you were gonna get married in a hall, for
Mm-hmm.
example.
Yeah.
So that's that. And also, I like to talk to the wife about what she envisions. But for sure, you're going to be wearing a suit. Unless you get married in a barn, maybe you'll be able to wear a sports jacket and trousers.
Mm-hmm.
But that really, really depends on the mood of the entire wedding.
Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I remember I did a little bit of personal shopping myself back in the day for a couple of clients, and it was not as I was nowhere nearly as successful as you, but the guys I did have 9 times out of 10, I was either shopping with their wives, so I was bringing stuff to their wives and basically saying like, "Hey, what do you like for him?" Or it was kind of like they'd try it on, they'd come in and be like, "Oh, I need my wife to approve it, right?" Uh, so do you often find that the clients that come to you almost need this like female approval to a certain degree to like, try, let's say, something a little bit more experimental or, try something interesting? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it really depends on the client. All men's are different. Everyone is unique. Yes, some of my clients need the women's side of things, the approval, but I think people just need a second opinion on what looks
Yeah.
them best. Because if you go and pick things on your own, you're always drawn toward the same items, and you can never really push your style. Um, and sometimes you know what you like, but it's hard for you to to get the clothing item that are gonna make you portray that specific image that you like. So I think
Mhm.
just have a second opinion is good, whether you're a man like yourself or me. I think it doesn't really make a difference. a difference. Sorry, I just think it's just that the second opinion that matters.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, I just think as soon as you kind of have the expert's eye on it, that's when you kind of get this, like, you know, almost this check mark, right? And you feel
Yeah,
more comfortable and confident in what you're wearing ultimately. Okay,
yeah,
so
it's yeah.
yeah, continue. Yeah, no, what were you saying?
I was just gonna say it's like when you start decorating your house and there's things that you like, you see it on Instagram, you see it on Pinterest, but you can never achieve the exact image that you see, even though you know where to get the cushion, you know where to get the throw, you know where to get the couch. It's just like putting it together.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's good to have an expert's opinion on it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And there's so much that goes into it, right? I feel like guys will usually, they'll be like, yeah, I really like this piece. How do I go about wearing it, right? I don't understand silhouette, I don't understand fit, right? And there's a couple different pillars ultimately that you use when you go about dressing yourself, right? When it comes to like fit, color, pattern, the way it
Yeah.
drapes on your body, right? And I know you obviously know all these things. But walk us through that. Walk us through how you go about, you know, styling a guy in terms of using these different pillars, right? These things to think about. If you were to give someone, basically what I'm trying to say is, if you were to give someone a guide tips on, you know, what to think about when putting together an outfit, what would you say?
Uh, there's always only one item that goes to the party. So basically think about one main item in your outfit. For example, today for me, it's my pink hat. I can't wear a pink hat with a pink plaid jacket and pink shoes. It's going to be too over the top. I think it's all about balance.
Yeah.
So you have to find one key piece that stands out. If that's what you like, you can dress classic. It's also, but just find that main piece and then build around it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I completely agree. That statement piece is so crucial, right? To kind of just add a little extra fun to your look. And you know, a statement piece could be as simple as a navy blazer, right? Just cut in a really, really
Yeah,
nice way, right?
definitely. Definitely with like a pique lapel or for
hmm
example, it could be a pocket square, a tie that stands out. So yes, definitely. It could be pretty much anything. It could be your socks.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Or not wearing socks at all.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. So, what are 5 pieces that you believe all guys should have? I know guys are relatively unique and you're having kind of different clients in, but if someone's starting their wardrobe fresh, what are those 5 pieces that you're recommending to them?
So like you mentioned, of course, it depends on the client, what he does for a living. If he works in tech, his wardrobe is going to be way different than my lawyer clients or um, TV host, for example.
hmm
But I think every man should own a dark suit, like a good dark suit with a nice fit. So
hmm
um, that can sort of take you to interviews, wedding if you need to, special events that you can dress up and down as you go throughout the day. Um, I think one sports jacket, but it doesn't have to be a sports jacket. So for you, it might be a sports jacket. For someone else, it could be a leather jacket, just
Yeah.
like an over piece that's easy to wear over a t-shirt or a shirt. My third item, I think, would be a crisp white shirt, but
Yep.
it could be different depending on your skin complexion. Some guys um, don't look so good in white, so blue might be
Yep.
an option, or whatever your white shirt uh, could be. So it could be for you, it could be blue or any other color.
Yeah.
Um, I think a good pair of jeans. So it could be gray, black, or blue, depending on the color palette you like to evolve around.
hmm
And a nice t-shirt. So it could be a knitted t-shirt. It could be a
Yeah.
mercerized cotton t-shirt. So a t-shirt that you could either wear, with shorts or with dress trousers or with a
hmm
suit.
Yeah. Yeah. I think those are good. I really like that selection too. I think it's really all encompassing too. Because when I ask guys, they'll give me typically, like when I've asked some of my guests, they'll give me typically the pieces that they love the most. And I think those are In my opinion, I think that's the most well-rounded selection of five pieces that I've heard, at least.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. I
All right.
appreciate that.
What is your, what are you currently putting on, guys? What are you interested in currently as kind of, this, people slowly start to go back to work, they get out of the house. What are you excited about in menswear?
I think I wouldn't say I'm excited about it, but what I put on most of my client is comfortable items.
Yeah.
I think that after going through COVID, even before that, I don't think guys are going to wear items that are not comfortable anymore. So you need some stretch in it. Either it's a stretchy jersey suit or jeans that have a bit of stretch in it, a t-shirt that can move, shirt that can move. Clients want to go from 9 to 5 to 5 to 7 to their weekends. They want to be able to come home, play with their kids, even though they're wearing a suit. So I'd say my main focus right now when I build a wardrobe for my clients is it comfortable? Is it soft? How does it feel? Because in Montreal, the stores have been open, I think, since mid-February. I think in Toronto, it's not that way, right?
Yeah, Toronto, we're still completely locked down. Yeah.
Okay. So we've been kind of back, and there are some clients that are back to the office. For example, all the president of companies, VP, but not all offices are open. But they're still going maybe 3 days out of the week. So in those 3 days, they want to look their best, but they also want to be comfortable. So just to select the key pieces that they can dress up and down fairly easily. But yes, suits that are comfortable is the main piece, and sports jacket also that they can move in.
So far with your clients, have you noticed kind of a move almost to like business casual, would you say? Or have you noticed guys are still wearing suits, but wearing them just in a more casual way with like a stretch fabric, for example?
I think most of my clients already started to dress down a little bit. If I compare from when I started back in 2008, even lawyers now wear a sports jacket and chinos, for example, to work. But I feel like guys want to look good and they're ready to dress up when they have an event, because when they're at home, they'll wear something a bit more comfortable. For example, a pair of jeans and a shirt for their Zoom call, but they want to go that extra step when they see their friends, when they go to the restaurant. I think people are going to start dressing up more and more if we compare to before COVID, where we were really in this casual movement with Balenciaga chunky sneakers and oversized t-shirt. I think clients want to dress up. They want to look good because they don't have that many occasions to go out and show who they are to the world.
Yeah, it's true. It's very much true. And I think it's interesting on what people have been saying about kind of like a post-COVID world and what that looks like. 50% of the population saying we're never going to wear suits again. And then the other 50% are like, guys cannot wait to get dressed up and they can't wait to, put on their favorite garments again. So it's interesting because I definitely, I don't believe one way or the other way is right. I think it's just going to be based on the person. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, exactly what you just said. I think it really depends on the client. If you never wore a suit, I don't think you're going to start wearing a suit after COVID or if this thing ever ends. But I don't think you're going to start wearing a suit. But if you were wearing suits working on Bay Street, for example, your version of the suit is going to be different. You might be wearing it in a more casual way, like what you're wearing today, for example, which looks super good. Or, for example, that safari jacket that you posted on, I think it was on your story today or something like that.
Recently.
That could be your new version of dressing up also. So softer shoulders, just more less stiff and more comfortable. But I don't think guys that love wearing suits are gonna stop wearing suits.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. It is interesting that, we've almost hit this point where like guys went from the guys who are wearing tailoring are just wearing less structured tailoring, and the guys who are not or want to dress up a little are wearing like shirt jackets and like safari jackets and like stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like
Mm-hmm.
I think that's if there was a trend of 2020 and 2021, I would say it'd probably be track pants and it would be shirt jackets, right? I think everyone kind of
Yeah.
has been obsessed with like these four pocket pieces. Have you been dressing your clients in shirt jackets and safari jackets? What has that been looking like?
Yes, a lot of overshirts too for my clients that just usually would wear jeans and a t-shirt. I find that
Mm,
having a shirt jacket or an overshirt can dress up a look or make it more interesting. It
yeah,
looks a bit more dynamic because I find that you could be wearing a white t-shirt and a pair of jeans and just like have a bunch of nice layering pieces like shirt jacket, sports jacket, overshirts, leather jacket, and make your look
yeah.
very interesting, very dynamic, and look different pretty much every day.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. It's interesting how, we've all kind of gone to these pieces where we're like, we want to dress down, but not too much. Or if we want to
Yeah,
dress up, this is enough of a range for us, right? So yeah, it is
yeah.
interesting that, these pieces have kind of come into our wardrobes and we've all become obsessed with them all at the same time.
But I don't think sweatpants are gonna stay for a long time. I think brands should stop doing sweatpants. There's too many of them out there.
Yeah, I totally agree. I feel like everyone, especially, it was interesting to see what brands did over this period too, right? Because the brands who were making tailoring started making casual stuff. And then
Yes.
the brands who were, doing like streetwear were doing like tailored stuff. So it was this interesting blend of like both brands kind of like almost stealing from each other and doing pieces that, one would do better than the other. Um, but it's all I also find it interesting how everyone went straight to straight to as comfortable as they could possibly go with like track pants and stuff like that. But I agree. I feel
Yeah.
like choosing the right track pants is one thing, right? Not all track
Yes.
pants are made equal. I think we could both agree on that.
Yes,
Um,
definitely.
but
But I think you might need one pair, maybe two pair, but do you need an entire wardrobe of tracksuits? I don't think so. And
yeah,
I think that when you're going to be out looking for ready to wear suits and sports jacket, you're going to have a hard time. Well, not you because you can just make your own, but clients,
yeah.
they're going to need to come to you because most brands are into sweatpants and very casual stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I've noticed. I've also noticed that guys don't fit their stuff anymore, right? Like we've been doing. I know on my side, we've been doing a ton of alterations to make things bigger because everyone's gaining kind of the COVID-15. Have you been noticing guys coming in for alterations to like change their sizes with some of the pieces you've gotten them?
I find that it's really 50-50. So I
Mm.
have clients that went up one size, sometimes two sizes.
Oh wow.
But I also have clients just like me. I started jogging like crazy. I never jogged in my life, but there was nothing else to do. So I
Yeah.
started jogging, hiking, skiing a lot. And most of my clients too, they started just doing all these sports. So some of them are very, very, well, they're much skinnier. They lost a lot of weight. So it's really 50-50. So
Interesting.
yes, you can do an alteration for one size, two sizes, it's a bit stretched. So
Yeah.
sometimes we just buy some transition pieces to help them uh, go towards either their old weight or just their new weight, but just making sure that they maintain it before we start building an entire new wardrobe.
Yeah, yeah, I am guilty of the COVID-15. I gained 15 pounds over this period. And I looked at some of my suits like prior to COVID and then now in COVID and I tried them on. And I was like, oh, these are a little tight.
Oh, that's why you need those pleats and open the waist a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. So actually, speaking of pleats, what are your thoughts on pleats? I know, so I've been designing some of my garments with pleats. I did my first pair of trousers for our spring summer collection with a double pleat. What are your thoughts on pleats?
I love pleats. I love seeing pleats on men. If I look at picture from Pidio Uomo, for example, every men look good because they're wearing pleated pants and soft shoulder jackets. I
Yeah,
just don't think that every man can wear them.
I
If you
agree.
tend to have a bit of a stomach, it won't look that good. It's gonna add those extra pounds. I remember when I started being a personal stylist back in 2008, we were telling all the clients, put away all your pants with pleats, and now it's coming back. Well,
Yeah,
it's a cycle, right? So,
yeah.
but yeah, I think some guys, just like yourself, if you're lean, you can wear them. But if you tend to have a small belly, I wouldn't suggest it.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. Pleats are they are one of those things where they're they're functional. Obviously, they give you a little bit extra room, but for a guy who's yeah has a bit of a belly or is a little bit thicker, they just make him look a little bit. They make him look even bigger than he already is,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly, exactly.
Okay, so how do you approach getting dressed every day? You yourself personally, how do you think about getting dressed yourself? And then how does that translate in, I guess, in terms of the way you would go about dressing one of your clients, for example?
So basically, every day almost, depending on if it's summer or if it's winter. If it's winter, I'll wear a turtleneck. If it's summer, I'll wear a white tank top or a white blouse.
Yeah.
Well, this is to go to work, and then I'll just throw on a blazer. And I had to go shopping, and to meet clients, I'll remove my hat just because I find that it's not really polite.
Hmm.
But yeah, most of the time that's what I'll do. So I really like to have a bunch of layering pieces, a bit like what we talked about earlier. So
Yeah.
I think that's how it does translate into my client's wardrobe. I like to have a functional wardrobe. If I get home and I just want to go barbecuing on the rooftop, I remove my blazer, I put on a hoodie, I can go barbecuing with my dress trousers. I just want something that is functional and comfortable at the same time. And I want the same thing for my clients.
Yeah, I think that's a great philosophy too, right? Is the idea that you're wearing things that are both functional but also transitional, right? Like you said, you could have your trousers on with a hoodie while you're barbecuing, right? It still makes sense for your lifestyle. So I do like that philosophy, and I think for anyone who wants to go about dressing themselves just a little bit better, having that in mind when you're buying your clothes or when you're working with someone like yourself, I think that will help you feel good and look good.
Yeah, because if it requires too many efforts, you're not going to want to wear that piece. You want to be able to choose it in your wardrobe. I think it's best to have not so many clothes, but clothes that you love so much. In French,
Mm.
we call them the coup de cœur. Those are the pieces that like your heart is drawn toward. So I think it's better to have 15 or 20 pieces in your wardrobe, but only pieces that you love so much that you're going to keep throughout the years than
Hmm.
having millions of items that you're never going to wear.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree. So what are your thoughts on, so a lot of people have been kind of looking at their wardrobes over this, COVID period and realizing how many things they just don't wear. Obviously,
Yeah.
there isn't the occasions for it. We're not going out every single day, right? So we are, not utilizing our closets properly. But I've noticed a lot of people also, removing things from the closets and, or donating them, getting them altered, kind of revamping them. What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on almost building a capsule collection, like you said, of a small wardrobe of things that you love? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think that your closet should be a small store, your small store.
Hmm.
So when you open the doors, you should only see items that you love, that you feel good in, and that you feel powerful in. It could even be a t-shirt and a pair of jeans, but and I think that you don't need that many items. If there's too many items, you're just going to get confused when you look into your wardrobe. Um, so it just has to represent who you are right now. And if you're not ready to let those items go, you can just put them in boxes, put them in a separate wardrobe. Sometimes I trick myself if I've been wearing the same blazer for many years, or I'm tired of seeing pictures with that blazer, I just put it in a garment bag, put it in another wardrobe, and a few years later, I just take it out and oh, I have a new blazer. So
Yeah.
I think you should just keep clothes that you're wearing right now. Um, don't go and put all your clothes away right now if you're still in lockdown. I think you should just keep those items that match your lifestyle. If you're thinking that you might go back to the office 3 days out of the week, then just keep the same ratio of casual and dressier items in there. But don't keep anything that is stained, damaged, or that doesn't fit you anymore, because it's just discouraging. Every time you look at your wardrobe, if that specific pair of trousers doesn't fit you and you've been that way for a year or maybe two, maybe it's time to get it altered.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, give it some time. I think let it breathe a
Yeah.
little bit, and then when it is time and you go back to work and life, then maybe it's time to revamp your wardrobe or look at it again.
Yeah, because some people they'll lose weight and they'll go take in all their pants. Maybe it's not a good idea because maybe your weight is not that stable right now. You might regret it later. So just wait a little bit.
Yeah, it's true. That is a good rule of thumb, right? Almost, yeah, being a little like I've had one client who he was playing around with different diets over the kind of the quarantine period, right? So he was on a vegan diet, and then he was doing intermittent fasting for a little while, and then he was eating meat again, right? And I was making a soup for him, and every single time he came in, the soup fit drastically different because he was just fluctuating weight like crazy. Right. So
Oh my
I
God.
think we might have did 4 or 5 fittings for the guy. So I told him at the end,
Wow.
I was like, okay, let's set up a fitting when you feel you're at your stable weight. So he
Yeah.
finally did. And it wasn't nothing crazy because the way we construct our suits, we kind of build in the space for 15 to 20 pounds just based on the way we construct it. So he was kind of in that range always. So it wasn't
Yeah.
super drastic. It was mostly just pant waist and stuff like that. But yeah, it's true, right? Like you need especially when you're doing stuff like that and making alterations or even making a custom suit with me, having a good idea what your like stable weight looks like is kind of the ideal time to go about doing that, right?
Yes, of course. If you're going to invest a lot of money in your wardrobe, you want it to last. I think guys, they usually move not so much from the chest and shoulder, but really from the waist. So that's very good what you
Yeah.
do. They can always move their waist, either take it in or opening, but there's only so many times you can do it, right?
Yeah, it's true. Until it starts to look not that good.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
Exactly.
That's true. Okay, so where do you get your style inspirations from? Where are you what are you looking at to get style inspirations for your clients and for yourself?
I think inspiration comes from a million places. I really like looking at movies or TV shows, the way people dress, what's popular at the moment. And I think that customers also look at those shows. For example, I don't know if you watch the TV show Serpent. The
No, I
styling
haven't. Yeah.
in this show is amazing. It's
Mm.
just fantastic. They were bold colors. I think it's very nice. So that's very inspiring for me. I also like looking at older movies. I like looking at street style photos when there was when
Yeah.
there was some fashion shows. I really love the street style from P.T. Uomo. For me, it's a big inspiration. I wish everyone in Canada dressed like that, but
Yeah. So do I. So do I.
yeah, the world would be so much prettier, I think,
I
if
agree.
everyone dressed nicely. But yeah, I get my inspiration from everywhere, from home decoration. I just think that it's a melting pot of everything that makes the trend emerge. Not only what's on paper, but what people are wearing in the street and what comes from a new movie or a new series that can also affect those trends that were set up in advance.
Yeah. I've seen the Serpent preview on Netflix a couple times, and I was like, this. I'm like, to be honest, I just wanted to watch it strictly for the clothes, just based on like the
Yes,
trailer.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
I think it's
both
like
for
based
men
in
and
the
women.
yeah, I think it's like based in the late 60s, 70s, right? I'm not 100%
Yes,
sure, but
yes,
just based on the
yeah,
styling, I'm guessing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's very nice, very nice.
Very nice. So who would you, so one question I wanted to ask you was, who would you say is a style icon for you in terms of menswear? Who would you say is someone, you know, it could be old, they could be dead, they could be alive. Um, who is someone that you know, when you think of them, you're like, yeah, their style is impeccable.
I really love the Steve McQueen style.
Mm,
I think it was effortless. It was cool. You still look at pictures of what he was wearing now, and it still looks really, really nice.
yeah,
I also like David Gandhi style,
yeah,
the model. I
yep,
think he
yeah,
has a great style. Again, it's effortless. It looks cool. It doesn't look too much. Like I don't like when it looks too put together, too perfect. There's something that
yeah,
needs to be off just a little bit. You can't look too perfect. So
yeah,
so yeah, I really like their style. But there's so many men. I really like also The Rock's new style. I
yeah,
think since he's been working with that stylist, his style has improved drastically. And
yeah.
he has a very hard build. You
Oh
probably
yeah.
know.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He'd be, if I was to have him as a client to build a suit, he'd be very difficult. Like it would probably
Yes.
take two or three tailors for it. Like it would probably take at least two or three fittings, that's for sure.
Oh,
Just
yes.
because of his shape. Um, but yeah, he'd be quite the client. But if The Rock is listening to this, we'll take him on.
Yeah.
All right. So walk us through who your favorite client is so far. Sorry, your favorite client. We were talking about The Rock, Steve McQueen, you know, how being our, you know, our style inspirations and icons. Who's been your favorite client that you've had?
It's so hard to answer that question because I love them all. I have some clients that have been seeing me for 12 years. Some come every month, some come
Wow.
every season, some come every 5 years. And I love them all. Of course, it's a bit more fun when the client is more willing to push the envelope.
Yeah.
So if I can think of a specific client, yes, it's fun. I love working with clients that are willing to wear colors and sometimes pattern, even
Mhm.
though I'm really into the less is more trend right now.
Yeah.
I think it's nice. I love to see colors on a man too. So I think my most fun clients are the ones that are willing to wear colors and pattern. Can I
Yeah.
say
That's
that?
fair. That's fair. That's fair.
Okay.
That's fair. Yeah. I can imagine that too, right? Because they're the most exciting to work with. I know even on my end, like I've had guys come in and, you know, they're financial like Bay Street guys, and they'll come in and I assume that they want a specific thing, right? I assume that they want a navy suit or a pinstripe suit or something like that. And then, you know, sometimes they surprise me, right? Like I had one guy, he made a double-breasted deep purple suit, and right, I thought he was going to make a
Wow.
navy, right? So there are those guys that like, you know, completely like unexpectedly surprise you, and they're always the
Yeah,
most fun to work with. I think we spent like 4 hours together just chatting about clothes and style, and you know how he envisions his life and how he envisions his wardrobe, and it's
that's
interesting to kind
bold.
of, yeah, definitely, right? Like, and he the double breasted jacket he did, or the suit he did, was a 4 button jacket as opposed to a six. Um,
Wow.
so it was, yeah, it was. I was like, hey, and it would look great on him afterwards. Like I was really happy to make it for him, right? So I totally agree. The people who are unexpected surprises and will try things that maybe they've never tried before, it's kind of the best part of the job, right?
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm sure you can think of a client that you had to fit him in a classic navy suit, but you wanted that piece to be perfect for him and for him to be able to keep that piece for a really long time. So
Yeah,
it's fun and it's challenging in a different way. Do
yeah,
do
one
you
hundred
agree with
percent.
that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I totally agree, right? Like we've had clients who, you know, they just want gray or they just want black, right? And then the only thing there is to kind of play around with is fit and making sure it fits them perfectly, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if
The
there isn't these,
texture.
yeah, yeah, if there isn't these other things kind of, you know, taking the person's eye away, it's like what do they pay attention to? What it looks like on them, right? Like how it's
Yeah.
cut, right? And we always, cut is the most important thing when you're making a custom
Oh,
suit, obviously.
definitely.
But when we're making a black suit or we're making a gray suit or we're making something relatively solid, we pay extra attention to it, let's say.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think that's what makes the difference. It's always the cut, even if it's a purple suit.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, but any suit, realistically, like I think fit. I think fit is the most important thing, and I think you'd completely agree that, like, you could be
Yes.
wearing anything, and if it fits you really well, and like another point I want to make is fit doesn't necessarily mean tight, right? I think a lot of
No,
guys
no, no.
confuse those two, right? They're like, if something
Yes,
fits me, it needs to be like skin tight, and that's not the case at all, right? Fit
yes.
and how tight something is relative to a person's body. So let me make that point out. Let me put that point out there. But on top of
Oh,
that,
definitely.
yeah, I think,
Definitely. It has to fit
yeah,
your body type. It has to suit your body type. You can't just wear you can't wear the same thing if you're a man, you're 5'2" and 120 pounds, than The Rock, for example. And I think uh, dressing for your body type and not in tight clothes is very, very important.
yeah, yeah, because
Leggings
I
are for
feel like,
women.
yeah, exactly. You've heard it here first, guys. Leggings are for women or for working out.
Yes, there you go.
um, all right. So speaking of tight clothes, and speaking of people wearing their things too tight, what is your sartorial pet peeve? What are things that we've heard about? A couple things you do like. What are these things that you're not a big fan of?
I think it's guys that don't alter their clothes, whether your pants are too long or
Mm,
your sleeves are too short or too long. That's a big sartorial pet peeve for me. Or guys
yeah.
that wear their pants too tight, but that's that's just their style, I guess. But
Yeah,
a
yeah.
sartorial pet peeve. I mean, every man should hem their pants if the length is not proper, and not every store sell pants that have a length 30, for example, and it
Mm,
costs $8, $12 to hem your pair of pants, and it's gonna make magic for your body type.
yeah, I completely agree. That's one thing that I've always noticed that guys will always neglect, right? They always neglect their pants, right? They'll
Oh
get the shirt
yes.
fitted, they get the jacket fits bang on, and then the pants are just kind of, just thrown on. And
Yeah, style is the whole. It includes also the shoes. So
yeah,
the
exactly.
pants, the shoes, the hair, it's everything.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. And I've also noticed that, if you're, because I know a lot of guys love shoes, right? A lot of, like, even if someone isn't super interested in style, they'll always be kind of, relatively interested in either sneakers or shoes of some sort, right? And if your pants, if you tailor your pants the right way, your shoes look even better, right?
Yes, definitely, definitely.
Yeah, so that's something to take note of, guys.
But also take care of your shoes. It's very, very important. Wash them often or send them to the shoe cleaner, but give them some help sometimes.
Yeah, it's true. That is one thing. That, to be honest, that's one thing that I'm guilty of sometimes as well, is not taking care of my shoes maybe as much as I need to. I sometimes I'll just wipe them down with like a paper towel, and that's kind of the end.
Oh, well, there's shoe cleaners for that. So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
don't
That
have
being
to do it
said,
yourself.
I have enough shoes that I can keep them at a good rotation. That not any pair is getting too damaged at any time.
Oh, that's good. That's very good. So you have a passion for shoes?
I do. I do enjoy them. I do enjoy them. But I would say tailoring is by far my favorite. Like I'm
Yeah.
very much about tailoring jackets, shirts, all the things that kind of go with the shoes. For me,
Yeah.
I like having something that's relatively clean, and that can make almost a subtle statement because I want everything else to like speak for it.
Yeah. It's just the final touch.
Exactly. Exactly.
Mm.
All right, so I feel like we've had a pretty good conversation here. What are your thoughts on this? How this chat's gone so far?
I loved it. It was very interesting. And I can't believe we never met in an event in Toronto or
I know.
even through Roger, our friend. It's crazy.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too. It's shocking that we haven't met in real life. Obviously, I've known about you for a little while, so I'm glad that we've had the opportunity to chat today.
I'm glad that you contacted me, and I'm glad that I was part of your podcast. It's amazing. I've listened to, I think, almost all of them since you messaged me, and it's very, very interesting. I love every one of your guests.
Oh, thank you so much. All right. So, any final words for our guests? Any final words for anyone listening about style, about menswear, about fashion, about a post-COVID style world? Any final thoughts?
Well, put some effort in your style, and the world is going to be much prettier. I just think that if we all do our part and we all take the streets as our runway, everything is going to be much prettier. Just think about Slim Aarons and imagine he was there to take a picture of who you are, where you are.
Yeah.
Just make sure it's pretty.
Yeah, that's a good sentiment. I like that. I think that's a good way to leave this podcast. All
Yeah.
right. Thanks.
Thanks for
Thanks.
having me, Jonathan.